Hi, you're listening to the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot podcast of Dr. Matthew Croston, and I'm here to talk a little bit about an emerging story that may end up proving to be untrue, but it's coming to light now in the West, and undoubtedly, if it is true, will have very long media legs and possibly dangerous political consequences for the new president. But it is still, whether true or untrue, gives a perfect example of helping us to understand how most of the world, truly probably as much as 4/5 of the world, has to pursue its intelligence interests and how it structures its intelligence culture. In this particular case, it's about the new investigations going on into a proposed secret meeting between the Trump and Putin teams in the beautiful and glorious Seychelles, roughly 2 weeks before the inauguration of Donald Trump. The big controversy in the United States is the report that this was facilitated by the original founder of Blackwater, Eric Prince. What I find less emphasized but much more important was it was actually the United Arab Emirates that was the country truly responsible for facilitating this meeting, not the least of which because most people don't realize that the Seychelles are almost de facto controlled and owned outright as real estate properties by the UAE. Now, this story has the potential of blowing up all over the United States because the country remains enthralled by the supposed connections between the Trump administration and Russia and possible Russian interference in the presidential election. It's a worthy story to follow if any of these rumors prove true. But even if they're proven untrue, it's still a truly important story because it reveals how the preferred intelligence culture of the UAE in the modern day is done basically through largely covert backdoor deals epitomized by the strategic triangulation of major players meant to bring about movement on Emirati intelligence interests. The funny thing is when you study intelligence and military maneuvers and diplomacy, triangulation is a buzzword you see all the time. You constantly hear it, and it's constantly praised as a valuable tool in the diplomatic arsenal. But the funny thing is, in real-world terms, triangulation is never anything more than a weaker state stuck between a rock and a hard place, often between two other larger entities, more powerful entities, and that triangulation, therefore, is just simply meant to be, how do we get what we want from both player A and player B without sacrificing ourselves? In this case, those hidden triangulated strategic intelligence interests actually involve the UAE's animosity toward Iran and its priority to hinder and constrain any encroaching success by Iran to project power across the Middle East. In essence, the UAE is interested in brokering this deal as a pathway to convince Russia to limit and pull back from its partnership engagement with Iran. And it was incredibly self-aware, which is extremely rare in the global arena today. But the UAE was aware enough of its own intelligence weaknesses to know that it did not have the capability, the sweet offers to make to Russia that would allow it to achieve this larger intelligence goal on its own. And no, as much as it would possibly convince me to do anything the UAE would want me to do, eternal, permanent, happy vacations in the Seychelles was not going to get it done. However, triangulating between Russia and the United States, helping Russia to establish backdoor channels to the incoming American presidential team, does do this. Because since America shares the Emirati intelligence goals of undermining Iranian power, separating Russia from Iran, and constraining Russian-Iranian maneuvers in Syria, those shared interests might be more easily achieved if the incoming American presidential team offered caveats to Russian interests. What interests, might you say? Oh, I think one real big interest could be the severe reduction, if not elimination, of Western sanctions against Russia. This is how real Emirati intelligence works. This rare example of self-awareness on the part of the state that powers it to make more innovative, if perhaps also covert and semi-legal, strategic intelligence initiatives through its maximized relationship networks. In essence, the UAE, Dubai, is substituting its lack of real military and intelligence power with soft power network connections. So as this story continues to emerge in the West, and it's dissected in the West only for its potential TMZ value to titillate and explode apart the Trump presidency, you, our beloved listeners, should truly value it for the unique and secret insight it gives to the intelligence culture and strategic initiatives of the United Arab Emirates. Because what faces the UAE its limited capabilities, its limited power, its limited force to strategically project its power and gain its own intelligence objectives on its own, that reality is the reality of 4/5 of the world's countries. So understanding the background of this story helps you understand much more than just UAE, Emirati intelligence. Deal with it, people. That's the way it comes.